Hi, welcome to North of 48. We're going to be talking to Michael Walker about AI. Now, AI was invented largely thanks to two computer scientists, Alan Turing and John McCarthy, during the 50s. And look how far we've come. Artificial intelligence is evolving rapidly and emerging as a transformative force in today's tech world. It enhances decision-making processes and revolutionizes industries. It's likely to add a staggering $15.7 trillion to the global economy by 2030. It's clear that technology is here to stay, but the question we want to ask today is AI going to kill us? Michael, welcome to the program. Welcome to North of 48. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you. I appreciate you having me. Looking forward to the conversation.
Okay. Well, I hope at the end of it, you still have the same feeling. Just raise
Do
your
your
hands
best.
up if AI has you if you need help. Okay. Just raise your hands up and we'll send somebody.
I
Michael, what
appreciate
is your
that.
interest in AI? How did you fall into this?
That's a good question. It started particularly from a commercial interest. Back in around 2014, I worked for a machine learning company, and we did marketing automation for large brands. So back around 2013, 2014, we launched one of the first predictive marketing engines inside of Target's mobile application. So if you were walking through the store using the location data on the phone, and you had previously searched for, let's say, diapers or baby formula, we would, as you come into the location, we would send you a discount code via email and through a mobile app and say, hey, you may be interested in this particular offer, right?
You're
Around
that
a
guy
similar.
then. You're that
I
guy.
was I was one of them. I wasn't the brain behind it. We had very smart individuals building the tech, but I was helping deploy it on the marketing side. And I thought, you know what, this is really cool, right? This is not something I even knew was possible. And then it moved into online gaming and in areas like online casinos. Then I ran a agency called, very creatively named, the AI agency, where we just
Mhm.
implemented AI solutions for various companies. And then 2 years ago, when most of the world was introduced to AI through ChatGPT, I said, hey, this is now a widespread, it's going to enter its way into everybody's homes via their phone and their computer, and eventually into many more areas. And so I thought, this is the time to really dive into it, and now I use it in a million different ways every day. But that was really the starting point for me.
Wow. With that background, you're with a company right now, Smythe or Smith OS?
It's Smith OS. Yeah, we are kind of like an AI operating system for businesses. So you can connect any of your web applications or tools you use day to day, say like Google Drive, your CRM, and you
Mhm.
can pair that with the power of large language models. So it can make your business tools much more effective and intelligent. So we operate inside the world of AI day in and day out.
Wow. Um, well, let's talk a little bit about the ethical issues, if you don't mind, of
Of course.
AI. Like it's a critical issue that needs to be addressed.
Mhm.
AI, as a sense, doesn't have a morality. It could have a bias depending on the programmer and where it got its information. Um, what so through the health, especially health services, it's private information. Criminal law, it's private information. Are there safeguards in place for AI not to intrude on people, or is this something still in development?
Well, I would, before answering the question, I would even kind of challenge the premise a little bit, and this
Sure.
is maybe a more philosophical question, but even the premise that AI doesn't have, let's say, a moral foundation or an ethical code, I would almost argue that it has as much as any human does, being that when we're born, our minds are and it depends your origin, whether you come from a religious origin or an atheist origin, but we're born as kind of a clean slate. And so our morality is a combination of learned experiences and shared values, both from internally what we experience as well as what we experience from our community, your family and your immediate community. And over time, we learn right versus wrong, good versus evil, that sort of thing. AI is not much different, right? We feed it a bunch of information, and somebody or something tells it, this is what we consider ethical or right, and this is what we consider not ethical or wrong.
Mhm.
So in one sense, AI as a general term is doesn't work fundamentally much different than our own mind does, right? We have a bunch of synapses and, very complex machine in our heads that only learns things through experience and what other people kind of tell us and guide us. And so AI is very much that way. But to your question, there's kind of two ways to answer the guidelines question. Number one is first you want to look at who's the puppet master when you're creating this AI, because the intentionality is everything. If I have pure intentions and I create an AI model, for example, it's going to start with whatever my intentions are, be it good or bad.
Mhm.
But the second way to look at it, and what I think is really important, is uh, outside we need outside influence that can really make those kind of calls for us. I don't know if that's necessarily governmental, right? Or if it's a private sector thing or it's done at a community level. But we need some sort of oversight that's still human, that's not related only on the AI and the development to help us answer those questions and make those considerations, at least in my view.
Well, the question that comes to my mind then, it may be dependent on how society is at the time, what society's morals or rules or ethics are. Um, if you have let's say, in a country that has bad ethics or morals, as we think in the Western world, will that AI has the potential to be malicious? I would say, no.
Without
Yes.
question.
Yeah.
But I mean, even in that same vein, right? It's similar to, let's say, any given judicial system.
Mhm.
There are pretty diametrically opposed judicial systems between, to your example, the West and other parts of the world, where one may look at the other one and say, hey, that's intrinsically bad or evil, maybe,
Right.
depending on what the root of that system is. And I think it's very similar here. It all starts with what is the intention that this, let's just call AI a tool for the time being. What's the intention that we're deploying this tool for? And if you have good intentions, some really great things can come from that. But if you have less than ideal intentions, you can wreak a lot of havoc and a lot of damage can be done. That's why I think it's very important, kind of going to the previous point, we have some sort of outside oversight that's not tech companies, right? It's not the people who have the financial incentive around this or looking for to play a large role in power paradigms, for example. But we have a communal oversight committee of some sort that says, here's where we draw lines in the sand, right?
Mhm.
This is okay, this isn't. And that's a collective conscious that's able to make those decisions more than just essentially a set of algorithms.
Right. Well, you have the bias in AI. So I look at it as a cold program, but now it's developed the the way to expand itself or to learn. Is that basically what we're talking about? Artificial intelligence? Is it
Yeah,
is
exactly. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's something that can, let's say, I don't know that we're quite to self-learning, but it can self-improve, right? So based on, let's say, a desired outcome that we decide that this particular intelligence should come to, if it reaches, either if it falls short of that outcome or deviates from the outcome, it's able to look back and say, why did that deviation happen? And then it make adjustments when it tries to reach that outcome next. So less than self-learning, but more of self-correcting and the
Okay.
ability to interpret and analyze what actions caused the reaction and then deploy those corrections the next time that it runs.
Okay. No, fair enough. The integration of AI into society, like, sure, it started in the 1950s, but now we have the Alexas, we have self-driving cars, uh, probably with some artificial intelligence in its software. How do you see it going in the future? Is it am I going to have a AI robot in the house? What you know? I'm sorry, I'm just asking the question. People want
Yeah,
to
I
know this stuff, Michael.
I think you will. I smile because I think that's actually much closer than people may think. So you really just have two different disciplines being married in that example. One is robotics,
Hmm.
which you can go to any, Amazon warehouse in the world and you can see that in action. And then you have the intelligence aspect, like you mentioned with a Siri or an Alexa. It's not a stretch to combine those two, right? Where now you have a robot around the house and you ask it to sweep the floor or to get you a glass of water. I think we're very close to that.
Wow. Well, Microsoft wants to restart the Three Mile Island nuclear plant to generate power for their AI programs and their computing. Um, AI draws a lot of, like with Chat GPT and everything, it draws a lot of power right now. Do you think there's going to be a process where it doesn't draw as much power, or am I going to start paying $1 a month on my utility bill to help AI maintain its power, computing power?
Yeah, I think there's certainly some areas for efficiency that because keep in mind, up until very recently, AI wasn't a there wasn't much of a societal reason to explore, right? It was what the tech guys at companies like IBM and Microsoft were working on, or it was an academic field more than it was a consumer field. Now that OpenAI, who owns ChatGPT, has kind of paved the way to a commercial model, there's a lot more financial interest in addressing those exact kind of concerns that you raised. So I think on one hand, there's certainly areas to make it more efficient from a consumption area. But number two, I think, is it's going to push for much more exploration into alternative energy, in
Hmm.
ways that we can just ways that we can do more for less and make it more sustainable in the long term as well. So I think in a almost a twisted way, it's gonna be advantageous to us in that AI is gonna, I believe, become so helpful to so many people across the world that it's gonna be just an additional factor in helping us find those alternative energy sources to be able to power what we need from the artificial intelligence.
So, do you look at AI as a tool, or is it going to make us dumb as a human species?
No,
Yeah.
no, exact opposite. Yeah, I think it's gonna. So think of it like this, right? It's uh, more or less. It's less about what it does for the individual, right?
Hmm.
Whether it makes Michael more intelligent or less. Well, some may say the bar's already pretty low there, so it can only go up.
No, no.
But as a society, I see AI akin to the calculator, right? Before a calculator, there weren't as many people who could do even a basic arithmetic if they hadn't gone far enough in school.
Hmm.
But once a calculator is invented, and even now when you have it on your phone, really anybody can do basic arithmetic. That I think is the same thing for artificial intelligence. When you have basically a personal assistant in your pocket and you want to understand a general concept better, you don't have to go to a library and get out an encyclopedia and understand how to use the encyclopedia and use your own reasoning. You can just ask this assistant in your pocket for help understanding a concept. So at a broad societal level, I think it'll make us all collectively more intelligent and really a little bit more wise because we just have the access to not just the information, but the analyzing that information right at our fingertips.
I like that since we carry our phones everywhere now too. And more than once, I've asked Alexa on my phone, you know, questions. It's like carrying an encyclopedia with me. Sorry, a little dry mouth today, but um, transparency in AI, my friend.
Mhm.
Right? We were talking about how maybe a bad country could put parameters in AI that aren't necessarily the best. How do we maintain like AI transparency and maintain trust and accountability in AI? How do I get to trust AI in my everyday life without
Yeah,
worrying that it's going to kill me?
yeah, it's a good question. Number one is understanding understanding who is pulling the strings on that particular branch of AI that you're using. So ChatGPT, probably the most well known, is OpenAI, right? And
Hmm.
there's been a lot of criticism of OpenAI, and particularly the vast majority of their founding team has now left over these kinds of differences. And a lot of that is questions like, hey, what data was this trained on? Who trained it and gave it the directives of when to zig instead of zag?
Right.
So I think as artificial intelligence becomes more widely consumed, people will be more interested in that. And the way I see it is eventually, I think the government will get involved in those types of things and say, hey, if you're gonna have something that's used by a vast amount of our citizens, we want to know what are the foundations to this, right?
Mhm.
What instructions do you give it? How do you train it? How do you teach it? What types of decisions do you tell it to make? And I think that, and again, it goes back to the oversight point. I think that will open up that transparency a bit. But if we allow it to be simply a commercial tool, something that large corporations can use just for profit, it's the exact opposite. It's going to become a black box, right? Because
Mhm.
now it becomes proprietary and trade secrets, and you only know what people can do once they have it. Because the power of the outcomes from artificial intelligence are nothing like we've ever seen before. I mean, it's the closest thing I could compare in the most dark scenario is something like nuclear weapons, right? I
Mhm.
mean, you can do so much at such a broad scale that I really do believe it's too powerful for the general citizenry to not have some sort of say in how it's used and how it's trained.
Well said. California just stopped a bill on AI. They were going to set up a discipline with it. However, the governor said it wasn't strict enough, so he sent the bill back. Um,
Yep.
yeah, well, like everything in this society, we have to monetize, right? So AI is how are these companies going to monetize AI? Is it the services they sell for it, or sorry,
Yeah.
that's all I got on that.
No, so today in 2024, the largest benefactors of artificial intelligence has been through consulting services, particularly the Deloitte and Accentures and McKinsey's of the world, right?
Hmm.
Because they're already working with these large corporations, and now there's this new technology that not many people understand. And so these firms come in and say, hey, we'll help you navigate this minefield of artificial intelligence. Because today it's very expensive to create large language models, to train it. You need an army of data scientists. You need a ton of hardware and CPU to be able to do this. So the production of AI is not profitable at the moment. OpenAI is kind of a great example of this, right? Microsoft is sinking billions and billions of dollars into it. But the true revenue implications are going to come from, the solopreneurs and entrepreneurial spirits who have this business idea they've had for decades, but couldn't bring to fruition from a lack of technology or knowledge or skills. AI can help them with that. So I think if done right, there's going to be a massive boom from all areas of the economy because businesses that used to struggle and fail can now survive with the help of AI, with their marketing, with their sales, with their logistics and supply chain management. These are the areas that it can really help us flourish. And so every aspect of an organization can really be benefited through safe and ethical use of artificial intelligence.
Okay, Fair, fairly well. What about discrimination with AI? Does it come down to the programmer? Is
Uh, in a yes, in a simplified view, and I think it less than that, it comes down to the data you train a model on, right? And the instructions that you give it. So it's
Mhm.
just like if I wiped your mind clean today and I said, this is blue, and that's the only data point that you have, forever you would go on thinking that this is blue, right? It doesn't matter what I think or what the uh, object or objective value of the color is. To you, it's blue, right?
Right.
And think of AI as similar to that. Is if when I give it a set of training data and I say this is again this is good or this is bad, my inherent biases are going to be built in to the way in which I train that model, whether intentionally or subconsciously. So again, I think the more people that you have involved in the selection of the data that trains particular large language models, and B, the refinement and the instructions that you give it, the more chance we have of eliminating those types of biases and discrimination in the end product.
How, how are we going to see AI in the workplace?
You already see it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, so one way is if you, and it depends on the type of workplace, but let's say, software businesses or technology businesses. We use AI today in our company for marketing, for sales, to handle customer conversations via chatbots on the website, email responders back and forth, our SEO search engine optimization. So there's many ways there. But even in things like supply chain planning, logistics planning, route optimization, we even, I shouldn't say publicly the entity, but we worked with a large governmental institution on predictive maintenance, right, for their
hmm,
fleets. So saving money at even the largest level and being able to predict when are we going to have to repair this automobile or whatever it is. So you can see it in many different industries already. I think for the vast majority of people, you're going to start to see it in your workplace in small ways like helping you write reports, for example, helping you summarize data, helping you analyze large data sets to make predictions or projections for an upcoming quarter, for example. I think those are the ways that most people will probably see it over the next 6 months to a year.
right. Well, those are the tools we have now with the Microsoft Office tools and stuff. But the chatbots that I see on websites all the time, hi, can I help you? That's AI generated.
Most of them probably.
Most,
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's as simple as you take a large language model like a ChatGPT and you say, hey, here's a bunch of context about my business. Here's
right,
what we do and what we sell and why we're better than the competition, for example. And already the AI is smart enough to have those conversations on a website, probably better than you or I could do it because it's
right.
it's just so particular on those points.
Um, which brings another point here because while we're taping this, Iran's threatened missiles, ICBMs,
Yep.
right now, and malfunctions in software, and war, which brings up the Terminator stuff. Malfunction in, so you got critical tasks with AI that AI is doing. Is there a fail safe for if there is a malfunction or it's
Well,
in your like the way you do things and working with the maybe a government and stuff if let's say the routes for trucks are wrong, what is what's the outlet to fix that, the
Yeah,
malfunction?
I today the most important thing is at the end of the day there should be a human who presses the big red button. So you have you have a let's call it an AI that will constantly debug your software, let's
hmm
say.
hmm
And so it can catch the bugs in your code, for example, and that's like a pretense to solve problems that could happen because of human error. But I think the most, and many people would disagree with this, by the way, this is by no way a consensus. My view, and I hold it strongly, I would contend that the best fail-safe we can have is AI can do all of the work leading up to pushing the button. Because I want to make sure that if I'm making a decision that affects other people's lives, regardless of how smart this artificial intelligence may be, that onus, that responsibility still falls on me, right? So if I let AI do all the heavy lifting and the analysis and it gives me reports and it says here's when you should press the button, I can still go back and look at all that myself. And even if I'm much more valuable than the artificial intelligence model, if I'm the one that is in charge of pushing that button, ultimately I have the responsibility and I can't let it fall onto artificial intelligence.
Well, okay. Well said. Well said. Thank you. Um, Especially this election season we're having, can we blame which wasn't, it was artificial Joe Biden? Can we blame AI on that? Can we blame somebody for doing that? Another example, and I think I sent it to you, was Belarus ran an AI candidate. The opposition did, and I don't blame them because you can get killed in Belarus if you oppose the government. Described itself as a 35-year-old from Minsk. Um, are we going to see more of these type of deep fake things? Is the candidate I'm going to vote for, is it AI or a real person? Um,
Oh, you're seeing it already. I believe I believe each campaign has the official stance that they do not use artificial intelligence, and I'd be willing to bet my last penny that could not be further from the truth. Um, there's things like large scale sentiment analysis, for example, and this was much of what Russia's supposed 2016 election interference was around, which is just colloquially, let's say, large scale troll farms, right?
mhm,
Where I can put an idea out onto the internet and I can have, 3 million bots with the name of Michael Walker or John Smith or whatever it is who just regurgitate these ideas. So if I'm now on social media and I'm just browsing,
mhm.
now all of a sudden I'm seeing a million people saying the same thing. And very quickly that spreads. That idea was just a big nothing burger that was meant to cause a distraction. But because artificial intelligence can power that to the tune of millions and millions of bots, for example, now all of a sudden that idea becomes reality. And deepfakes is just another step in the progression ladder of artificial intelligence. Pretty soon, I think that's going to be the first line of defense for politicians. You get caught doing something you shouldn't do or saying something you shouldn't say on a hot mic, and oh, that wasn't me. That was artificial intelligence, right? That was AI. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think
somebody
it's
stole
happening,
my
David.
Twitter. Yeah,
Exactly. I got hacked.
yeah.
It's that'll be the new I got hacked is no, that was AI. That was a malicious attack from my opponent using AI.
Wow. The troll farms from Russia were a problem, and a lot of people got caught in the States um, who were part of the troll farms, I would say, and the media. We're getting all these, as in the United States, we have these fake news stories. And is that made easier by AI? Like here we go down the path of people can use AI for nefarious purposes, right?
Mm.
All these fake news stories, or uh, is that kind of AI generated? Is that what made it easier for these fellows to do it?
It's certainly a part of it, right? Think of it like this. If it's the early 1990s and I'm an individual with, let's call it radical ideas, and I'm sitting in my apartment. There may be 15 people I can get that idea out to, right? And it's my unfortunate neighbors and people in my immediate family, right, or immediate community.
Right.
Maybe a message board if I'm able to find it, or I pay for an
Well,
ad in the newspaper.
Facebook and YouTube, like the algorithms on YouTube, I'm just flabbergasted at how wrong, how
Right.
bad it is. You know,
And
you
it's because of a flood of information, right? If I'm that same individual today in 2024,
right,
and I just know a little bit of AI, I don't even have to be a developer anymore. There are tools who can help you build it. That same bad idea that I have, I can get it out to hundreds of millions of people within minutes. And now imagine that I train, 1,000 different bots to replicate that. We're now talking about hundreds of millions at a factor of 1,000. Pretty soon, you can reach, in theory, the entire population of the planet with an idea. So that makes sorting through information very difficult, both
right.
for, let's say, media outlets and people who should vet that information, but more importantly, to you and I, to the regular consumers of this information. I mean, what do you trust and what do you not trust? It becomes a problem rather quickly.
Yeah. Well, I get a lot of calls from India, and they want to know my credit card numbers, or somebody's did an amazing purchase on Amazon and they want me to press one. Is this are hackers also using AI now to send these calls and to jump off my phone number to other people? Is this an AI hacking tool, or hackers are using AI for
Oh,
this?
absolutely. Look, I think here's one of the things I tell people. If you have thought of a truly positive or beneficial way to use artificial intelligence, there are 100 other people who have thought about doing that for the exact opposite reasons, for very negative and nefarious reasons. So things like social engineering, like you're referring to, which is a common method of hacking, absolutely. It just becomes that much easier to execute those kind of campaigns through AI. But on the flip side, it also makes it that much easier to recognize, right? For AI to recognize when that's happening, and for us to be more educated on those types of things, and then to disseminate that information out to people. So it really is a double-edged sword. It's
Right.
a difficult one.
Well, with the learning, once I get my robot with the AI software, can I instruct the AI robot not to accept calls from India,
Why
that
not?
sort of thing? Is
Right?
it
Why
is that
not? You could
is
have
that
it.
my safeguard?
You could have it field it for you, right? You can have it field the calls for you and take a message and interpret, hey, what are the chances you think that this is a spam call or a robo call, and it
Right.
can sort through all that for you. Yeah, of course.
So, okay, we're talking about AI and how it affects society and elections. What is there a positive for AI in society? Like we touched a little bit about that. Could you maybe elaborate? How do you
Yeah,
see AI going in the future
yeah,
to help?
I see the outcome of AI as being a massive net positive for society.
Okay.
Um, Number one, I think it's going to open up, contrary to what I think many believe, it's going to open up a lot more areas of opportunity for people. So imagine the vast majority of the population in the world who, just due to where they were born and the circumstances they were born into, their opportunities are very limited. The internet did a big part of helping level the playing field in some ways there. But now artificial intelligence can help people get into the types of jobs or industries that previously they weren't able to, right? Imagine I lived for some time, 2 years in Cambodia. There's not a lot of developers or things that come out of Cambodia because of lack of infrastructure and technology, but more lack of people who can teach others to do that. Artificial intelligence can bridge that gap. It can teach you to do those things. It can also, do things like I mentioned before. It can make starting a business so much easier. It can help you think through ideas. It can
Mhm.
help you analyze the pitfalls to an idea, create a business plan, create a marketing plan, help you go to market with an idea. So the barrier to entry for entrepreneurship will drop significantly. And then, of course, I think the most important is it makes access to information and education much more broadly acceptable. I mean, even today with the internet, there's good information and there's bad information out there. It's the onus is still on the individual to analyze and interpret that and to use that knowledge in a way that's going to help them. AI can bridge that gap significantly. You can go and say, "Hey, I would really like to learn how to do A, B, and C," and then it can go out and comb all the information available on the internet and filter through the bad and provide you a clear individualized learning path for you. Maybe you're a visual learner, maybe you're better with written text. It can learn those things about you and it can provide that personalized learning on a much more individualized level. Like those are just some examples of some of the net benefits I think it'll bring to society, and not just in the United States or Canada or Western countries, but to the entire world. And I think through that, it makes the world a better and in many ways a safer place for everyone.
Mm, that's very good. Now, with everybody with phones, if you had a good AI program, could you go to Vegas and win a lot of money? Uh,
I would like to
just
think Vegas is probably ahead of the game on that one. They've probably figured that out. But I won't say I've thought about it, but it may have crossed my mind a time or two, that's for sure.
okay. Michael, I'll close out the show, but tell me once again what company you work for and how can people contact you if they want to know more about AI or marketing solutions?
Yeah, they can just visit our website at smithos.com, smythos.com. And one of the things we've worked really hard on is we have a completely free academy. So we have an introduction to SmithOS course, which is really an intro to AI. What is AI? What are large language models? What are AI agents? And so it can just help you kind of get a little more up to speed on just the field in general. And then we have a course that's called an AI agent certification course. It'll
Okay.
teach you how to build AI agents for your business or your business idea, and it's all completely free. So that's probably the best place to start is just smithos.com.
And it's free to politicians as well, right? So
No, no,
this
politicians pay double. That's how we keep it free for the common man.
All right. Well, thank you very much. If you just hold on for a second. Thank you very much for being part of North of 48, and I appreciate your time. And you're in Sweden. What time is it there, my friend?
It is just after 8 o'clock p.m. So it's
Well,
still
that's not bad.
still night young.
All right. You take care. Okay.
Thank you, sir. You too.
Bye.